Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Create and Consume, a podcast about what we make, watch, and buy in the era of digital content. I'm your host, Austen Tosone. We are on the brink of something wonderful, something magical. Maybe you have felt the crisp morning air in the last few weeks. I am talking about my favorite season. I'm talking about fall. From the decor that we put out, which could be really simple or really intricate, depending on your vibe, to fall fashion trends and new TV shows. This episode is to help you get in the fall spirit because I'm already there. I know it's not even technically fall yet, but I just want to get hype for this upcoming season because I think it's going to be amazing. And I'll also be sharing my fall bucket list, which just has a few fun things on it that I'm pretty certain I will be able to do this year, but I always feel like sharing your goals helps keep you accountable. So let's get into the fall of it all. As we do at the top of every episode, we need to discuss what we're creating and consuming this week. And there are a lot of things that I want to be creating and consuming actually throughout this whole episode, but I did pick two things as usual to spotlight for this section. So, in terms of what I'm creating this week, I just finished writing a new blog post about what I think are the best activities to do during a bachelorette weekend. I know that bachelorette parties have, there's so much to say about them, honestly. Maybe we could even do a whole episode about bachelorette party culture and wedding culture in general, but often they can be a source of stress. Often they can be expensive. But to me, at the core, a great bachelorette party is just you having fun with your friends. So, this blog post is going to help you navigate and plan your bachelorette, whether you're getting a group together for just one night or whether you have a whole weekend agenda planned. It has a range of activities from more wholesome kind of morning activities to, your usual typical celebration activities at a bachelorette party. But I really tried to provide a spectrum of ideas here that are a little, some are a little dead on, like you could predict them, but also some are a little out of the box to just help you speed up your bachelorette planning process. And this is ultimately going to be a blog post that's going to drive traffic to a new digital product I'm working on for my bridal Etsy shop. But I just wanted to get it written and get those ideas out there because I feel like we are about to enter engagement season, probably from like Thanksgiving through Valentine's Day, I think is what they technically classify engagement season as. So wanted to make sure I got this blog post ready in preparation for that. And coming off of the heels of the success of my New York City Bachelorette weekend blog post, which is currently one of my most popular ones, which makes me so happy. So I think that post will be up by the time this episode airs, so I will be sure to link it in the show notes. Also, I am so nervous right now because I had to put in a service request for our apartment because my freezer door is, it's just like not closing the way that it used to. And when I opened the freezer earlier, there was a little bit of like frost on it. So I put in a service request for someone to come look at it, but I'm terrified that the maintenance guy is going to knock on my door while I'm doing this. I feel like people always ask, "Oh, how do you not get like embarrassed when you're walking around the city like filming content?" It's like I don't get embarrassed doing that. I get embarrassed when someone who I see quite often like has to come into my home and see me talking to no one. That is so much more embarrassing to me. So if I have to pause this at some point, I will let you know, but fingers crossed that I make it through this recording before someone comes to look at the freezer. Sorry, just went on a complete tangent. In terms of what I am consuming this week, football is back. And you may think I just say that as a Taylor Swift fan, but real ones know that I am a lifelong New York Giants fan, which is lately, not very fun. But because football is back, I mean, the TV was on with football in our home yesterday for a solid like 7.5 hours. Not to say we were like fully engaged and watching it the whole time, but it was just on. I mean, watching football is one of my all time favorite Sunday activities. It is just, I think I also like it because it doesn't always require your full attention unless it's a really good game. The New York Giants have had a very uninteresting couple of seasons. So, for that reason, it's been honestly a good time to even like quickly catch up on work. I was creating some pins yesterday for some content that I created while I was still trying to enjoy the game. It was a tricky one. If you're a Giants fan like me, I apologize. But I also do love, seeing Taylor Swift pop up at the Chiefs games. I have a fantasy football league with my family, which we will discuss later in this episode. But yeah, I'm just happy that football is back. I'm happy for the snacks. I went to Trader Joe's this morning and I picked up the buffalo chicken dip. So that is going to accompany us probably next Sunday when games are on again. And I'm just generally excited. I mean, call me traditional, but football really is that American pastime. And don't forget to let me know what you are creating and consuming this week too. You can leave a comment on the YouTube video for this episode. You can leave a comment on Instagram or TikTok, or you could even send me an email, and all of those links are in the show notes. I really wish that I was from the South and could get away with saying it's fall, y'all, but it just doesn't sound as good with my New Jersey accent, does it? But anyway, welcome to fall. We had this discussion a few episodes back about when the official start of fall is, and I've decided fall has begun. When I went to Trader Joe's this morning, all of the pumpkin stuff was out. I even purchased pumpkin bread to make, which we'll get into some fall flavors later in this episode. We're going to do a little smash or pass. And all the kiddos were going back to school. I started walking and was immediately dodging parents rushing and backpacks and scooters and all the things. And I was like, oh, we're back. Like, we are back in school. It's in session. And that to me means that fall has begun. So even though it is not technically the start of fall yet, I am already there mentally. I am in the fall spirit. And that is exactly the perfect time for this episode. When I saw Tanisha a few weeks ago, she said something to the effect of like, "Oh, you and Andrew have had a jet set summer." And I know exactly what she means, but I am here to tell you goodbye, jet set summer, and hello, stay at home fall. Or even if you stayed at home this summer, we're going to continue staying at home this fall. I am just so excited for fall in this area. I'm so excited to be local. I have no plans to be on a plane for the rest of the year. Let's keep it that way for the sake of my wallet and my sanity. I am just so excited to chill in the Northeast, to enjoy everything that is coming up. The only plans I have, like the furthest that I'm planning to go as of right now, is basically to Rhode Island for my niece's birthday. And that's it. That's all I want. I just want to stay local, stay put. I want to be back in my routines. It is Virgo season. I am trying to take advantage of that, channel my energy to get some of my 2024 goals across the finish line as we head into the fourth quarter of the year. So this is the time to get in those routines, stay organized. Like, these are the things that are most important to me right now, even though I'm so grateful for all of the trips and the memories from this summer. It's our time to reset. It's our time to chill and stay put. And I'm having a local girl fall. Okay. So that is my current mood. I decided to kick off Local Girl Fall last week. So for my birthday, I actually took the afternoon pretty much off and I decided to go to Target. So I did the obligatory fall Target run. I got a couple of things. First of all, I got these mini pumpkins, these little yarn pumpkins in the dollar section. They were $1 each. I got one white and one light blue. You might be able to see them way back here on the table behind me if you're watching on YouTube, but I will also link them down below in the description box. Everyone needs one of these. They're $1 and they're so cute. I was telling Andrew this morning, I was like, Andrew, they were so cute. Like, I could not leave them in the store. I had to buy them. He very politely like nodded at me when I said that, but I think he knows what I mean. I love my tiny little $1 pumpkins, and it's just proof you don't have to go crazy overboard. You don't have to have a 13-foot tall skeleton in your driveway unless you really want to. That's your prerogative. But I do feel like having those little fall touches and fall decor just is something that like can put a smile on your face and help get you in the mood and get you in the season spirit. Okay, now I'm trying to move out of the way because if you are watching on YouTube also, I've got my mantle decor up, which is this beautiful, colorful leaf garland. And I've also got a little wicker pumpkin there. I've got an orange sweater pumpkin, and I've got a yellow felt pumpkin behind my head. Maybe I'll share a picture on the Instagram for the podcast so you guys can get a visual. But I love having the mantle decor up. The fact that we have the fireplace behind me is just one of my favorite things, especially for this time of year. It's not quite turn on the fireplace weather yet, but when it is, it just becomes really cozy in here and it just makes me so happy. I also always like to get a fall scented candle. This is just a silly little treat myself gift, which is usually like no more than $10. And I actually was able to get a pumpkin scented one that wasn't too sweet for me. So I picked that up. I forget the name off the top of my head, but I will link it in the description box. And I also got a really cute gray cropped turtleneck sweater, and I just loved the proportions of this one. Like I could see it on the hanger and visualize what it would look like on me. I think this is perfect to wear with high waist denim or a high waisted skirt. I just absolutely loved how the sleeves also kind of billowed out. They weren't like too tight on the wrist. And I just thought it was so cute. I also love that even though it is a knit material, that it's still pretty lightweight. I feel like that's the perfect thing for quote unquote transitional weather as we head into the colder months where you might want to switch to sweaters at some point, but you don't necessarily need those chunky knits right away. Those were my three little fall purchases, and I would say very successful. I also got some boring stuff like refill for my Swiffer wet jet, and ew, okay, you guys probably don't even care what else I got. I feel like that alone is the conversation killer. I feel like people check out when you say I got my Swiffer wet jet refills. And then a few things that I already have that I do like to break out this time of year are even just as simple as changing the mug for my morning coffee. So instead of reaching for, I don't know, whatever mug I have been using for the last few weeks, if it is clean, I am using my Stay Cozy mug. This I also got from Target last year. You could find a fall mug pretty much anywhere. It's so inexpensive, but for some reason, just drinking my coffee out of it in the morning just sets the right vibe. I also have my Stars Hollow sweater. I will link that down below too. That is from an Etsy shop that I found last year. And this sweater is my favorite thing to wear, especially during the fall months. But I honestly wear it all throughout the colder months too, just because it is so cute. It depicts the gazebo from Stars Hollow, the Town and Gilmore Girls. If you know, you know. And I picked the kind of fall colored one. So it's just very like beautiful, warm reds, oranges, yellows. It just makes me so happy. Like it's one of my favorite things to wear when I pop out to get groceries or I'm going on a little walk. Now that it's not super hot and I'm not sweating my ass off every time I go for a walk. And I just absolutely love it. So those, again, I already have those. Don't really need to purchase another fall themed sweater, although wouldn't put it past me if I did stumble upon the right one. So those are just some little ways to kind of like spruce up your space or your day-to-day routine for fall that also don't require you spending a ton of money. I also always love some good fall television. And I remember growing up, I mean, especially when I was like in high school, Gossip Girl would return in September. So it was always kind of a momentous occasion, a good time for fall TV. And I feel like it's much easier to keep up with shows during fall because when you're traveling less, you can just get into more of a rhythm or a ritual to say, oh, like I know that this drops on this day, or oh, I can usually fit in an episode of this like while I'm working out in the morning or while I'm doing this. Like, I just feel like it's much easier to keep up with your fall TV favorites. Okay, let's discuss new TV. So, first on my list to watch is The Perfect Couple on Netflix. And we read this for book club in August so that we would be done by the time the show came out in early September. So, I actually watched the first 20 minutes this morning on my Peloton. I didn't have time to do a longer workout, so I just got the first 20 minutes in. The episodes are about 45 minutes, and I think there's 6 of them out in total. I think this is going to be a good one, guys. I actually admittedly was not the biggest fan of the book. I loved the writing. I always love Ellen Hildebrandt's writing, and I love that she writes from multiple different POVs, points of view throughout the book, so you kind of get to see what different characters are thinking. I really don't want to spoil this one before everyone gets a chance to watch it. So I'll just let you know that I've read the book and I am going to be watching the series, and maybe we'll add that to the what I'm consuming section at the beginning of a future episode after I have had a chance to watch all of them. Also, Emily in Paris Part 2 is coming out next week. I shared that I'm a little apprehensive about the fact that they're going to Rome for the next batch of episodes. I don't see why we need to leave Paris. Like I said, I think maybe if she just got a new apartment away from all of the people who are causing all the drama in her life, things might be a little better. But I'm sure this has to do with raising stakes and, new drama. There might even be a new love interest. I honestly have no idea. So I will be ready to watch those as well next week. Let me know if you're watching along too. I am going to be watching Golden Bachelorette. I am not a big fan of how the Bachelorette ended, specifically how production decided to present everything. Not my favorite. I am just someone who will probably always continue to watch just because I think that the commentary surrounding a show like The Bachelor or The Bachelorette is just as important as the show itself. And I want to still be someone who's kind of like tapped into what they're doing, whether it's to come on here and say that I don't really agree with what they did, which I just did say, or whether it's to just be able to discuss with other people. For me, it is like the original reality dating television show. And as I start to branch out and watch other things, like still working my way through Love Island USA, I did get through the Casa Amor recoupling, though. That was very interesting. Or even Love is Blind, which season 7 is airing starting October 2nd. That is another fall television show to add to your schedule. But especially because this is the inaugural season of Golden Bachelorette, I really want to support Joan. I am really curious to see how it all goes and how it all shakes out. Also, that is going to be airing on Wednesdays, I'm assuming because of Monday Night Football slash maybe Dancing with the Stars. Not entirely clear on the ABC schedule, but Golden Bachelorette will be airing on Wednesdays. I don't know if it's only an hour or if it's going to be 2 hours, so we'll have to wait and see. And if you're looking less for something new and you want something that is kind of a go to classic rewatch, may I suggest the two double G's, which is Gilmore Girls and Gossip Girl. Perfect fall shows to watch, if you ask me, especially Gossip Girl season 1. That is like the perfect thing to watch at the start of fall. Same thing with Gilmore Girls. As discussed, I have a sweater that depicts the center of the fictional town that they live in. Beautiful gazebo with all the fall colors. Like, the fall is implied with Gilmore Girls. The two are one and the same. Let's talk about some fall reads. So, I don't really have that many new releases that I've been eyeing for fall, but I'll tell you what I am about to start reading, slash, what I requested from the library. So, I just actually started, I'm only like 10 pages in because I got distracted, to a book called Uptime by Laura May Martin. She is Google's productivity expert. Of course you knew Google had one of those, right? But like to see her name and to see that title on the front of a book was just like, oh, okay, that's so crazy that that is like a real job. So I am only 10 pages in, like I said, but I'm already loving the vibe and the tone of this book. This is not a spoiler because it's on page 1, but like the way she opens the book is something to the effect of, I watched 10 episodes of this TV show yesterday and I considered it a productive day. So you already know that she's not going to be unreasonable in terms of the productivity advice. That already set the tone for me right away. Like, this is another human. That was interesting. Like, I'm curious to see what she has to say next. So my parents actually got this for me for my birthday. I mean, what is giving Virgo only child energy more than a book on productivity, right? So I am super excited to see what the takeaways in this book are, if there's some that I can apply, especially to my work life, but also my personal life. It seems like the book will kind of cover both. So I'll report back on that when I finish it. My book club decided to read The Midnight Feast by Lucy Foley. Let me grab a little description for you. Okay, during opening weekend of the Manor, a luxe coastal retreat built on top of old secrets, those in attendance will have an agenda, but not everyone will survive. Ooh, spooky. Yeah, we wanted to do a little bit of a mystery read for fall, so that is the book we're going to be reading. And then while I was logged into my library account, I decided to request another book. And I think this came up as a joke in our discussion about what books to pick for our September book club pick. But I saw this and I was like, I feel like I kind of want to read that just to be a basic fall girl. So it's called the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. The author is Lori Gilmore, and already I was like, Gilmore Girls fall, like everything is alignment. Like, yes, of course. But then I read this description, and if you've watched Gilmore Girls, let me just really quickly read this to you. When Jeannie's aunt gifts her the beloved Pumpkin Spice Cafe in the small town of Dream Harbor, I mean, Jeannie jumps at the chance for a fresh start away from her dull desk job. Logan, yes, Logan, is a local farmer who avoids I'm sorry. Who avoids Dream Harbor's gossip at all costs, but Jeannie's arrival disrupts Logan's routine and he wants nothing to do with the irritatingly upbeat new girl, except that he finds himself inexplicably drawn to her. Will Jeannie's happy go lucky attitude Luppy, did I just say? Happy go lucky attitude win over the grumpy but gorgeous Logan, or has this city girl found the one person who won't fall for her charm or her pumpkin spice lattes? Like, are you kidding me? I have to read this book. I'm laughing through it, but I feel like it will either completely surprise me, like in earnest and in a good way, or it will just be like basic fall lore. And either way, I need to know. So I have requested that from the library. Hopefully, it comes in soon. I will link all three books in the show notes if you want to check them out. As I mentioned earlier, fall football is back, and I'm a New York Giants fan. But when the New York Giants are, how do I say this? Sucking as they currently are. One thing that makes football season more fun for me is to play fantasy football. And I have wanted to be in a fantasy football league for so long. When I met Andrew, he told me he had one with his friends. So naturally, I assumed that if I asked, I would just be let in. Turns out it is a kind of closed door society over there. Okay. I just can't like go in and be part of that fantasy football league. It's like all the spots are kind of taken already. They also put money into their league. And so there's, I don't know, that's just like his friend group thing. So once I realized that maybe that wasn't the most viable option, I was like, does like our families want to play? So currently in the league this year are both of my brother and sister in laws, me and Andrew, my nephew, who is 7, and my mom. I know it sounds so silly, but when I tell you that this is like one of my favorite things that we have ever done as a family, I just absolutely love it. So, first of all, I would just like to say that I won last year. Okay. My team is called Meadowlands Mayhem. I won last year, and I am determined to keep my crown in play for this season. So, we had our draft a few weeks ago, and I'm pretty excited about my team. I feel slightly guilty because I did draft Jalen Hurts as my quarterback, which, as a New York Giants fan, the Giants and the Eagles are big division rivals. So, anyway, I got matched up against my mom for week 1. There's still one game that needs to be played tonight for Monday Night Football as I'm recording this, but as of right now, it's 99% confirmed that I am winning this game. So, to win the first game of the season, even though the team that I wish had won didn't win their first game of the season, it just like evens things out and makes it so interesting. And I also love that I'm getting to learn more about all of the different players throughout the league and get to see how they do and get to like follow players who I wouldn't normally be following because they're not on the Giants. Maybe I'll add in some little fantasy updates here and there. I obviously am not trying to make this whole episode about football or anything, but it really is part of me getting in the fall spirit, so I had to include a little segment. One thing that I tried to do more over the summer was work from a coffee shop at least once a week, and that has been so good for me, like just being able to get out of the house, kind of have a designated block of time where I have like one or two key tasks in mind that I want to accomplish has been a much more productive way to work rather than, kind of just like meandering around the apartment or maybe taking too long to complete something because I was like distracted by something else. I just love a good coffee shop work session. And even though I don't personally partake in like the pumpkin spice latte of it all, I love that coffee shops have new fall flavors and signature drinks. I know I've already spoken about the Hive plenty on here. That's one of my favorite local coffee shops in Hoboken. I'm obsessed with their chai latte. It's like the primary thing that I order when I go there. And last fall, they did kind of a slightly different take on it called the Cozy Chai Latte. And I really hope they bring that back again this year because it was so yummy. But on that note, I wanted to do a quick round of pass or smash with fall flavors, starting with pumpkin because it's the one that comes up most. And guys, this is a pass for me. I know that pumpkin spice lattes are a vibe. I actually wish that I liked them and that I could participate in PSL culture, but at the end of the day, I don't want pumpkin anywhere near my coffee. That's just not the place for it. Same with beer. I have only tried one pumpkin beer that I've ever liked 2 years ago. Andrew and I were at the New Jersey Beer Company, and they had one where it was just the tiniest hint and it was done in like the right way. I don't know how else to explain it, but every other pumpkin beer I've tried has been absolutely disgusting. And I just want nothing to do with it. I purchased the pumpkin bread from Trader Joe's because that to me, pumpkin makes sense in baked goods. Pumpkin pie, pumpkin scone, pumpkin bread, that is where pumpkin makes the most logical sense in my head to me, but I don't want it in or around any of my beverages. Please let me know if I'm not alone in this. I don't know if I'm about to isolate like half of the listenership here or not, but that's just my truth. Let's talk about apple smash. Apple is big smash for me. Like, I am always down for apple cider, apple pie, apple crisp, even just apple cinnamon anything. Oh my god, I feel like the possibilities are just completely endless here, and I am so excited for more apples in my future. I feel like another fall flavor that comes up quite a lot is cinnamon, and this is a smash for me. Like, I want cinnamon on all of my chais in the fall. I think that they might even include some kind of cinnamon syrup in the chai latte at the Hive to make the cozy chai I was telling you about. I want cinnamon scented candles. I want cinnamon rolls. I want cinnamon sticks boiling. What is that called? A simmer pot when you boil like cinnamon sticks on your stove. I love humans. Like the fact that someone just came up with that and decided to call it a simmer pot. Go off, everyone. And then the last fall flavor, and I just grabbed some of these from a list I found off of Google, that came up was maple. So I'm guessing that's like maple/maple syrup. And this is totally dependent on the situation for me. Again, if you're trying to put it in my coffee, that's not really where I want syrup. However, if I am on a fall road trip and I stop at a cute local diner and I order pancakes, of course, give me the maple syrup. Give me maple flavored bacon, hickory smoked bacon. Just give me all of that. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that little game. Okay, let's move on and discuss some fall fashion trends. Now, this is not from this current season of New York Fashion Week. If you guys follow the Fashion Week calendar, what is showing right now in New York is actually spring 2025 collections. So we already got a glimpse at fall 2024 collections back in February of this year. Now, this is the time that you're probably going to start to see more of those trends come to fruition. And as always, I just think of trends as something fun to kind of keep an eye out for. I don't think you should go out and splurge on trends without trying them out at a more affordable price point. I don't think you need to adapt every single trend just because it's trending. You should only look into the ones that you like. But as of right now, from some Googling and some sourcing, I basically just went to Vogue, Harper's Bazaar, Marie Claire, and Elle, and I pulled some of my favorite trends for fall that I saw in trend wrap up reports. You can just Google fall 2024 trends and you'll start to see a lot of these roundups forms. So I kind of did the work for you and pulled what I am most excited about on the fall trend front. The first trend that I pulled that I'm really excited about is ladylike suiting. So we are talking all things tailored for the fall. I'm talking about pants, I'm talking about blazers, I'm talking about tops. I am just so excited for all of the structure and like the power suiting that I feel like we're going to see more and more throughout the next few months. I think the timing of this trend also is kind of overlapping in an interesting way, given the fact that Kamala Harris is currently in the running to be the first female president of the United States. If she ends up winning, I think we are going to see even more of this ladylike suiting and power suits just continue to trend into early 2025 and basically all throughout next year. Another trend that I saw for fall is full skirts, and I actually recently purchased a skirt from Cezanne that I think perfectly encapsulates this. What was interesting was for most of the images I saw that went along with this trend, it wasn't necessarily like full skirts with like crinoline that were super poofy. It was almost more like A-line silhouettes that kind of just seemed to add more volume towards like the lower half of an outfit. And I think that's where the full skirts trend name is coming from. But it's not like poofy skirts, it's really more that A-line silhouette. I recently purchased a skirt from Cezanne that I feel like perfectly it fits this trend, which I purchased it before I even saw this. So that was just lucky coincidental timing. But I purchased this white skirt that actually is kind of like a wrap skirt, and it goes to right above my ankle length. So I would classify it as a full skirt, and it is also pleated. I thought this would look really cool, potentially styled with this sleek pair of black cowboy boots that I have from Zara, and maybe even the new cropped sweater that I just got from Target. I have a vision in my head. I know what it looks like in my head. I just need to see if it comes to fruition and makes sense in reality. But I'm super excited to continue to style that piece. I think in my head when I first saw it that I was leaning a bit more spring summer with it, but I'm all for breaking fashion rules. Like, I will wear white after Labor Day. Winter whites is always one of my favorite trends, especially when it gets really chilly here in the New York City area. But I love this trend. I also feel like it translates to all different body types and would look good on anyone. So I'm excited to try it out this season. Okay, another one that kept coming up, kind of with a few different names and variations that I noticed, was fringe slash yarn looks. And I'm saying yarn because when you think of fringe, you might think of like a bit more structured fringe. But really, when I looked at like more individual images of pieces I saw from the runways last season, it was more yarn like fringe. So think sweaters that have lots of movement to them. Think about like cardigans that have kind of pieces of yarn hanging from them. And think of like soft, more sweater like fringe than more like harsh or structured fringe. That was the vibe I'm getting. I'm personally so excited for this one because I have this black, I guess I'll call it fringe, but it is more like that yarn material fabric that I have had since I worked at Free People in college. It is a bit oversized. It's a bit shaggy, I guess is the right term for it. It does almost look like a shag dog or like a shag carpet, but I just absolutely love it. I think it's such a fun, cozy vibe. I think it's a great way to add texture to an outfit, and I'm ready to break it back out again. So I'm super excited about that trend. I never fully understand if colors can count as trends or not, but I'm going to count them for this one. I saw so many articles mention green. Now, I know that we just had Brat Summer, so if you're thinking of that green, we're moving away from more of the neon color and moving into the forest green and olive green colorway. I absolutely love this. I noticed that I have slowly been adding some green pieces to my wardrobe over the years. I now have a cute little green top that I got from Loft. I have these green linen pants that I got from Zara. And then last year, when I worked with Walmart for this holiday Pinterest campaign, I got this forest green midi length sweater dress that I'm actually so excited to wear and style this year. So if you have any green in your closet, bonus points if it's like an olive green or forest green. I feel like you're going to see more of that this season too. This next one I saw in a few different places, and I didn't like any of the descriptors for this trend because I didn't feel like it translated. And then when I got to Who What Wears Fall Trend Roundup, I saw that they called it swaddle season. And that is like the perfect way to describe this. So obviously, if you have a child or if you've seen babies, you might know what a swaddle is. It is that fabric that you kind of wrap around and it ends up with like drapes here and there. That is kind of the best way to explain this. And what is really happening is these beautiful, like draped swoopy coats, sweaters, I mean, scarves, anything, you name it. But it's kind of the idea of that like draped silhouette right along your neckline on various clothing items. I just think it's such a beautiful silhouette, and I think it adds so much interest and texture to an outfit. So if you see more sweaters and coats for sale this year that have that kind of swoop going on, a little bit of that swaddle drama, I don't know what to call it, that is definitely something that designers were leaning into for fall 2024. And the last one is leopard print. And if you don't believe me on leopard print making a comeback for fall 2024, I'm going to tell you what Nylon's fashion director Jay Erico told us before we all attended Fashion Week shows back when I worked there. If you see it 3 times, it's a trend. So, my 3 sources for this from the fall 2024 collections were Versace, Marni, and Alex McQueen. You can look it up. There was leopard print in all 3 collections. So, according to Jay, 3 is a trend, leopard print is back. That's my little fall fashion trend report. And then another thing that I want to do this season that I think I spoke about already is to really just get organized and do a seasonal refresh of my space. I do like to do biannual closet clear outs and my biannual beauty product switchover, which I think is an activity more specific to me. I'm sure a lot of us do biannual closet clear outs, but for me, the biannual beauty switchover means that I take all of the items from my beauty free bin, which at this point is actually overflowing. Like things are falling out of the bin and are on the console next to my desk and even have made it to the desk themselves. Although I'm excited about these. These are my newest additions that I need to test from Peach and Lily. I got these products when I was backstage for Fashion Week earlier this week. I was backstage at the Probable Goering show, and I got invited by Kiss Nails to see Gina Edwards apply the press-on nails to the models and how she kind of adapted the design for the runway. And while I was there, I saw that Peach and Lily. Okay, sorry guys, I'm back. The maintenance guy came to check on the freezer while I was gone. And you know what I realized is worse than your maintenance guy realizing that you're a content creator? Is your maintenance guy realizing that you're an idiot. As it turns out, there was a piece of ice stuck that was preventing the freezer from closing. If you've been having an off day, just remember that that happened to me. So, anyway, as discussed, I need to go through my beauty products, get rid of things that I'm not using and that have expired, and swap them in for new products so that I can actually test them and give brands feedback or pitch them on ideas if I love the products. I also have some items to donate to the local thrift shop here. So, I just need to reorganize my space for fall and tidy up. When my space is disorganized, my brain is disorganized, clearly, as evidenced by not seeing an ice cube at the bottom of the freezer. So, yeah, with that being said, let's wrap this episode with a rapid fire fall bucket list of things that I want to do between now and I guess the start of the holiday season, which is so crazy. Number 1, I would like to host a football Sunday watch party. I threaten to do this every single year, but I think it would be so fun just to invite friends, say, come for whatever game you want on Sunday, like put the schedule of games, make some pigs in a blanket, order some pizzas and wings, and just hang out. We have hosted the Super Bowl before, which I love, but when it's nice out and people can come and we can have the door open, enjoying the nice fall weather, like that is something that I would really love to do this year. Would like to be more in my hosting era, especially since we have gotten so many great hosting pieces from our wedding registry last year that don't always get put to use when it's just the 2 of us. So what I'm trying to say is I'm ready to use my serving platter and I'm ready to make some spiked apple cider. Another thing on my bucket list is to go to the Met Cloisters. I haven't been in years, and Andrew has never been. I think he would actually really love it. So I would ideally like to go in late October when the leaves have changed by the park that's right by the Cloisters, too. So we can kind of enjoy a little walk up there, take a look at all the art. To me, the Cloisters just screams fall activities. So if you haven't been and you live in New York City, you should definitely try to go this fall. I would also like to attend the Hoboken Music and Arts Festival. I believe that's at the end of September. We have lived here for 3 years now and have never gone. So I have already debriefed Andrew. I said we need to get on this. I would really like to go this year. It's basically just like a fun street fair that takes up the main street here in Hoboken. So there will be food, there will be stalls of like artists selling stuff and local stores. I don't know, I'm just excited. It's just a nice way to spend a fall day kind of strolling around and people watching essentially. And last on my fall bucket list is shoot some fall fashion content. Now, the fact that this has made it to my bucket list is kind of interesting because you probably just would assume that I do this all the time, but I have been so out of the loop with short form content, as discussed in the social media State of the Union episode, which I think was episode 6. I'll link it in the show notes if you want to listen. I have just been really struggling with short form content, but you know what? That is no excuse not to put together some fall looks and create some content in the meantime. So I really would like to be doing that this year, whether I'm just shooting here in the apartment and doing like that kind of outfit content, or if I'm able to pop out in the neighborhood and actually shoot some things with my tripod or maybe with a friend. I need to know what is on all of your bucket lists for fall and if you have any fun stuff coming up this season. I hope you guys enjoyed this little fall preview and that you're feeling in the fall spirit. If you enjoyed this episode, as a reminder, you can support Create and Consume for free by doing any of the following. You can leave Apple and Spotify ratings and reviews. You can like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you're watching this episode on YouTube. You can follow along at Create and Consume Pod on Instagram and TikTok. You could send this episode to a friend who might enjoy it. And as always, you can check out createandconsumepodcast.com for episode recaps and more. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll talk to you soon.